And sorry, chat. I am right here now. All right. All right, chat. It'll be a 7v8 from the looks of it. Well, either way, African gonna be circling around, trying to aim for the fold. Nearly gets intercepted by Arizona, but thankfully, someone in around the middle was able to catch it before they could. Either way, oh, was looking for a walk there, but couldn't find anyone. All right, African backed up quite a bit here, trying to find some room if he can. He's gonna find a little bit, but Arizona's defensive line keeping him at bay, and he's gonna try to find the fold. No, he doesn't get it. That's not grounding. Calm down. Either way, it looks like it's gonna be a fold to Butta. Interesting name. But it will be good enough for first down. Oh, he's going to look for another walk to Purplify. Couldn't find anything there. I mean, the receiver was there, but it was just misplaced, I guess is a better word. So far, though, Chicago has been getting the ball down the field, but can they score? Oh my. And Butta with a little boost. I mean, I don't know if he would have gotten the touchdown without the boost, but that is certainly an interesting interaction that just showed up. But either way, Butta is going to easily score a touchdown here, and Chicago strikes first blood, as they call it. Don't worry, the players themselves are not harmed. Or the real life players, I guess, is the better word. No one is harmed. Just an expression, in case no one knows what that means. But either way, TTGNM going to be the one to return it. He is also known as the self-glazer in this chat. With like 15 alt accounts. I'm just kidding, kind of. But either way, I do want to know if there are really any stakes for either of these teams. Let me check. Oh, okay. So there's not really any stakes for Arizona, but there is quite a bit of stakes for Chicago here. Because if Chicago wins, they could potentially be in playoffs. And I say potentially. But at the same time, it also kind of depends what Arizona wants. I mean, do they want to see the Saint? Do they want to see New Orleans in playoffs, or do they want to see Chicago? Or maybe they, because if there's a playoff spot for New Orleans or Chicago, I mean, who do you let win? Actually, even if Chicago wins, do they even make playoffs? Because New Orleans got a forfeit win from Tampa, so I guess yeah, they could tempt they could they potentially knock Tampa Bay out of the playoffs? There's a lot that goes into this. It just depends on how playoffs are going to be formatted. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know if there's really any stakes for Chicago, but there really isn't any for Arizona, so I don't know how hard they're going to try. But either way, real Purplify gonna get the catch there. And hold on, let me look at standings. Is there really any stakes for Air? I mean, I guess to maybe retain the number one seed, but maybe retain the number one seed in the conference. I don't really know, but either way. Wait, I wasn't even paying attention. How did Chicago get the ball again? I was like thinking about like playoff requirements and stuff, and I wasn't really like thinking. But either way, African gonna get sacked there. It looks like he's gonna take it off and run. Not gonna get very far though, but we'll get a modest amount. And now we got a 3rd and 21. Not exactly easy to overcome, but let's see if African can do it. Knows he's going to try to fire the streak, but that's a risky one. And for good reason, because TDGNM is there to make the interception. I mean, that was just a favorable 2-on-1 for Arizona. I would have been shocked if Butta came down with it, though. Definitely would have been a highlight. Either way, Dr. D5. And Hall of Fame void. gonna dodge around a couple defenders, and it's just gonna spin move out of bounds. I don't know if that was intentional, but it thankfully removes the risk of a fumble, which are a thing in this game. A fumble can happen at any time, so it could definitely be a good move to go out of bounds. But either way, B2 Hazard gonna get a handoff for about 10 yards thanks to that truck. It didn't seem like the Arizona defense or Chicago defense was quite expecting it. But either way, it looked to have been maybe a fold. That could potentially be a grounding, but I think a receiver was in the area, so they won't call it. And TTGNM gonna spin move in the end zone and barely hits the pylon. And that's a touchdown right there for TTGNM. I'm waiting to see if TTGNM is gonna self-glaze himself or glaze himself in the chat. He might or might not. Wait, is that a safety? Are you kidding me? Huh? I guess Chicago kick returner must have recovered it at the 1 yard line and went inbounds to kneel it, and I guess that's what caused the safety. Oh my goodness, that is a terrible misplay there, especially when playoff stakes could be a thing for Chicago. Or they could make or miss playoffs because of this game. But either way, Dr. D5 gonna give it to Locke on the check down. Not gonna get too much value out of it, but will make it a 3rd and 8, which I guess is better than a 3rd and 15. But either way, it's just gonna be overthrown, and that will force a punt. So very solid defensive drive for Chicago. 9 gonna get hit sticked, immediately preventing any juking shenanigans from going on. Now African gonna give it a walk to Bubba. Oh, it was Bubba the whole time? Huh. Well, either way, African going to try to look around here. And it looks like he's gonna try the fold, but no, Snavy is gonna be there to immediately read it and get an interception. I mean, I definitely see the vision, but African threw it just a tad bit too short, and Snavy baited it and completed it perfectly. B2 gonna take it on the right side, but doesn't really get too much out of it. Dr. D5 looking for the walk there, but just couldn't find anything there either. And now he's gonna try another streak, but no, completely misses once again, just overthrown. Same as this last one. And it looks like they're gonna be forced to kick a field goal, but no, the kicker jumps over the ball, preventing any kick from happening. And that'll be a turnover on downs. And that is another solid drive from Chicago. But the situation is very tricky because Chicago's in a very tight situation here. 9 gonna get a first down and more there. That was a very good LS. Had a ton of value. Now, Ara Lucas gonna find the streak right there. And Bubba gonna find the walk. And now African gonna try to find a streak there, but no, couldn't find it. But African, I mean, he needs to find something here. Is gonna try to find one down the field, and Bubba gonna get another touchdown. And that's his second of the game, and just like that, Chicago is now in the lead. Unfortunately, the extra point is no good. I mean, you could say stuff about getting touchdowns and stats, but if you don't win the game, it's kind of just empty stats, you know? Either way, Arizona going to take a timeout here. I don't really know the exact reason of why, but it seemed there was a very important reason of doing so, so I will not question it. But either way, Dr. D5 is going to find an open lane and will run it to the right side for 10 yards. Now V2 Hazard going to truck through two people before finally going down. Or before finally going down, my bad. And now Dr. D5 is going to be rolling left here. Is going to be a bit trapped. Jumps over a defensive end, though. Oh my goodness, Dr. D5 able to save it. And will he find someone down the end zone? Yes, he will, but, well, sort of, not really in the end zone, but will be deep down the field in Hall of Fame void. Gonna be the one to catch it for a 6-yard gain. Oh, and it was looking for the handoff dive cheese tactic. But unfortunately, it did not work. Dr. D5 was going to look to run it himself, but unfortunately that failed as well. So Chicago able to completely deny it, but Roy able to get a touchdown to take the lead right back, starting this second quarter. And just like that, Arizona has now taken the lead. It depends on how the playoffs are. Because if they get the number one overall seed, I don't know if it's based on the overall seed or if it's based on the conference. I have no idea. If it's based on the conference, there's really no stakes. But if it's based on the entire league, then that gets a bit weird because if Arizona beats Chicago, they both have the same record. And when they faced each other, they both tied for mysterious circumstances. So we're going to see how that plays out because I don't really know. But either way, African going to be looking for real purplify here. And is easily going to find him around the hashes wide open. I mean, so far, Butta has been kind of the MVP so far, aside from the quarterback. But let's see if he can get the hat trick on a third touchdown. But at the same time, what will Arizona do to prevent it? And looks like he's going to try to find Purplify, and that will be his first touchdown of the game. And just like that, Chicago immediately fights back with one of their own. So far, this has been overall solid offensive play from both of these teams. But either way, Arizona. And Dr. D5 gets sacked, was trying to hurdle San 13, but unfortunately just couldn't get it, and he's going to pay for it with a 5-yard sack. And now Dr. D5 with an important decision to make here. He's going to take the check down to Hall of Fame Void. Gonna dodge one defender before going down for a 14-yard gain. And now V2 Hazard. No one gonna hit stick him. Okay, there's like about half. And here we go. Dr. D5. Oh, and Roy did catch it, but unfortunately he was out of bounds right when he caught it. So that will be incomplete. I mean, so far this has been a pretty good game so far. Very back and forth. But let's see which team gets the edge. Oh, and TGNM did get the catch on that seam. But unfortunately was just popped by Purplify, I believe. I mean, so far this has been very good play from Chicago so far, and it's going to be a deep shot down the field. This could be a toss-up, and it's intercepted by African. Oh my goodness, that's a crazy boost. I mean, I'm definitely clipping that. What on earth was that boost? I've never seen a player snag that and then just dive that far away. Like, please don't tell me that's exploits, bro. Please don't tell me. Although, I mean, that's not my problem to, I mean, that's not my issue to judge, but that'd be crazy if that's not exploits. I mean, I'm not saying he's cheating, though. I'm not saying African's cheating. He's probably not, but I'm just saying I'm not making any accusations here, but that's a pretty wild dive, though, that was made. I mean, you have to admit. And now African. Looking around. Seeing what he can find. He's going to try to find the streak there, but unfortunately, TTGNM going to make an interception right back. And now it is Arizona's ball. I mean, and swatting is not much of a thing in this game. It honestly put them back quite a bit of yards, giving them worse field position than where they were where Chicago was on that 4th and 3. But oh, and Sand just going to completely jump out of the way. Immediately gave him a lane, thinking he was going to juke the other way, but that is just not a good read from Sand 13. And that easily costed them a good amount of yards. And now there's going to be another streak down the right side. And now V2 Hazard gonna get up the middle for about 9 yards. And now this is a very interesting situation. Oh, and V2 Hazard gonna instantly get hit sticked. I guess the same trick doesn't work twice. Well, at least twice in a row. But either way, it's going to be incomplete. And now Arizona has a decision to make here, and they're going to go for it. Why not? A field goal does not exactly put them in the lead. And now Dr. D5 going to give it to Snavy. No one covering him. No one covering them out in the short of the end zone. Chicago was too worried about the end zone itself and didn't catch anyone underneath. And just like that, that's going to be a touchdown. And with that, 2 points do not count. So they will have to throw it away. And now it will be Chicago hopefully answering back. Sorry about that, Chad. I was a little bit occupied. I was just typing something. But either way, African get a full to purplify. Easily going to be completed. And so far, this has been very solid. Oh, hold on. I gotta make sure. Did I send it? Okay, cool. I did. And now we got African. I mean, so far on a second and 15. I mean, Chicago is not under any time crunch, so they can take as much time as they need. Although they will have to keep in mind the time because, uh-oh, please don't tell me that's in. Oh, that's a huge missed opportunity there. That could have been an easy score for them. But unfortunately, African just overthrew it. You cannot overthrow those. But either way, it's a 3rd and 15. They will have to get a first down here. Otherwise, it will be a forced punt. And looks like they're going to try the streak again to Butta. But unfortunately, TGNM going to completely deny that with another interception on the 2v1. But the downside for Arizona is that they are placed in a very, very bad spot. At the 1-yard line, that is not a comfortable spot you want to be in if you're lock. But TTGNM gonna give Arizona some open space to work with thanks to that streak. Oh, but it's a fumble. V2 Hazard. V2 Hazard was gonna receive the handoff on a 2nd and 1, but gets hit sticked immediately. And RL Lucas going to recover the fumble after some random dives. And just like that, that is a huge defensive stop for African. Actually, is their real name Dan? No. But either way, Aro Lucas on the LS, going to take it in for a touchdown thanks to that last second dive. And just like that, Chicago now has the lead. Oh. Hold on, I gotta post this clip. Hold on. I'm not gonna be commentating for a good bit. Sorry, Arizona. Here, I have to edit it. That was a crazy play, though. Okay. I'm sorry, chat. I'm just doing something at the moment. I wasn't expecting this to take this long. But either way, it will be halftime, and Arizona not going to be able to score there, or was it Chicago? I have no idea. I wasn't paying attention, but you guys all saw what you saw. I was making a clip of that hit stick. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, I am back now to commentating. Now, Dr. D5. Going to be looking around. Trim nearly had the ball there on that 2-on-1, but unfortunately got popped by Purplify. And now, this is an interesting situation. KJ Trim gonna get a streak on the right side. And now V2 Hazard gonna try to truck there. Unfortunately, could only get 9 yards. Not much value on that truck, but either way, still 9 yards is 9 yards. Or 9 yards, sorry. But either way, Dr. D5 gonna be trying to roll left. Unfortunately, could not find anything, and now they face another tough decision. And it looks like Arizona is going to go for it. And again, Chicago does have to keep in mind they don't need to score here. All they need is 5 yards. And it looks like, oh, and it looked like they were going to give it to Luck on the out route, but unfortunately was popped immediately. So now we have no idea. And now we immediately have no idea if he could have made the first down yard line. I mean, that is just an incredible defensive play from Chicago on that fourth down. So far, their defense has been very menacing. I mean, if I was Arizona, I would not want to see them in the playoffs with that kind of with that sort of defense giving them struggle. Hello, San 13. But yeah, I will say though, this Bears defense has been very solid so far. Able to give I mean, I don't really know if Arizona is sweating at all, given there's not really much stakes in this game, but so far they have definitely given Arizona some pause on offense. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but the Bears have all. I mean, Chicago has always been a tough team though in playoffs, so they definitely don't want to. I don't think any team wants to see them in the playoffs if they do make it. But either way, it'll be a 10-yard gain. And now African going to be looking for the LS there. Not going to get super far with it, but it's going to be given to RL Lucas again, but gets bodied immediately. And now it's going to be a 3rd and 1. But do they try the LS again? It seems Arizona is preparing for it. But that can open up a streak or a walk. But no, Arizona's defense is going to completely deny it. And that will force Chicago to punt. And this will give Arizona a lead that they desperately need this game. I mean, I don't know for the season, but they definitely need it for this game. But either way, TGNM going to get it on the fade on the right side and get a first down. And now V2 Hazard going to get hit sticked immediately on that handoff. Sand 13 able to just completely read it. Yeah, I mean, if I was Arizona, I would definitely be careful with handing it off when you got Sand 13 right there, putting it in check. But so far, though, this has been very solid play from the Chicago defense. But unfortunately, I cannot say that for that play specifically because Hall of Fame Void is just completely wide open on that streak on the left side. And now Arizona has taken the lead. And unfortunately, the kick will be no good, so they will only be up by 2 instead of 3. So a field goal from Chicago will be able to immediately give them the lead right back. But we shall see what will happen. Oh no! Are you kidding me? Chicago fumbles it completely. He got hit sticked when diving, and unfortunately that costed a fumble, and TDGNM is going to pick it up. Chicago is definitely not expecting a fumble there. And I don't know if they got it at the worst time. Or, well, I don't know if they would have got it at a worse time. But either way, Roy gonna get it on the check down. And he does have a bit of room to run to at least get the first down, and he will. So far, this has been a very solid game from both teams, but V2 Hazard not going to be able to get the truck in time. And that will only give him about 2 yards. And Dr. D5 is looking to pass it here, trying to find someone, but no. Was looking to find the streak there, but nobody home. And now Dr. D5 on a 3rd and goal. All right, but it looks like Dr. D5 is going to be backed up for quite a bit here unless he can find a split, which doesn't seem very likely. And it looks like he's going to try to toss it up in the end zone, and it's going to be intercepted by Zub2 Trelly. And just like that, Chicago now has the ball. And that is another successful drive on defense for Chicago. I mean, so far this has just looked absolutely perfect outside of a couple plays from Chicago on defense, but can we say the same about the offense so far? I mean, this offense has looked just about as inconsistent as Arizona's at the moment. But either way, it will be an overthrown streak on the left side. But either way, African. And now we got a 3rd and 5. I mean, African does need a first down here. He doesn't need a touchdown immediately. He just can't get sacked here. And looks like he's going to try to find Ace for the check down for 15 yards, and he's going to be able to find it. A very smart play by African. Just not doing anything fancy, just a simple check down. I mean, so far, Chicago really hasn't done anything too fancy, but they just play. But either way, Real Purplify is going to get the fold on them at the middle. I think if I were to kind of describe Chicago, though, I think they're not really a fancy team. Like, they don't really do anything crazy, but they get the job done. They will do what they can to get it done. Now, they may not be the best team, and they may not be the most well-equipped team. They may not even be the most talented, but they're very simple-minded. They're very forward. They do what they do to get the job done, but unfortunately, Hall of Fame Void is going to prevent them from doing anything about this one. And just like that, Arizona will continue to have the lead. picking off Purplify on a 2-on-1. Sorry, I couldn't speak there for at the moment. But I mean, it doesn't matter how many plays Chicago is making. It seems that Arizona is just responding right back with okay, I just lost brain cells with what in the world just happened. It was apparently a pick by Ace, which led to being a fumble, and then somehow ended up being recovered by Arizona incidentally. So, I mean, that's still a good play by Chicago. That still ended up being a net positive for them, but I definitely think they would have preferred the turnover. But either way, I guess you can't have your cake and eat it too at times. But either way, it looks like they're going to try to find the fold to Hall of Fame void, and it is going to be a catch from him. I mean, so far, this has just been very solid play from Hall of Fame Void. And now Snavy going to get another fold around the middle. And so far, this has looked very, very solid for them. And now V2 Hazard going to hit stick V2 Hazard, saying, no truck for you. And so far, Sand 13 has done a very good job keeping V2 Hazard in check on the run. But unfortunately, it is not really a defensive end's job to cover KJ Trim on the streak around the hashes. And just like that, that is a touchdown for Arizona, extending their lead to a 2-scoring game, provided if they get this extra point. But unfortunately, they do not, so it will still be a 1-scoring game. Now, there is something that Chicago can do here if they play it smart. So what Chicago can do is if they hold off the clock, take their time until the fourth quarter, so then they can go for 2, because you can go for 2-point conversions in the fourth quarter and potentially tie this game up. And even if you don't, you can just onside kick and potentially try to get it back. So again, Chicago is definitely in a winnable area still. Can still win this just as easily and can cling to their lead. Or can cling to a lead. Sorry, I couldn't speak there for a moment, but either way, African going to be looking around, but unfortunately just could not find it. Now African going to get sacked there for 10 yards, and that's going to be a 3-and-out. That is definitely not what Chicago wants there. And just like that, I believe their lead is falling apart at the seams. And so far, this could not be any worse for them, but Dr. D5 going to try to run it up the middle, but fortunately is met by Ace and Sand 13. But either way, Dr. D5 going to give it to Roy on the LS, but unfortunately does not get very far. Only for about a gain of 1, maybe 2. And now here we go, Dr. D5. On a 3rd and 14, a very crucial one, mind you. But let's see what Dr. D5's decision will be. He does have an open-ish lane to run if he wants to, but no, he's going to try to risk it. But unfortunately, Rio Purplify going to meet it on the fold. And unfortunately for Chicago, he was out of bounds, so it is incomplete, but that doesn't stop Arizona from a forced punt. And now, just like that, Chicago has the ball again. And if Chicago plays it right, they can get a touchdown and tie this game up with a 2-point conversion. But again, right now it is looking like a very tall order because it is still Arizona. They are still a dominant team. We cannot mistake that no matter how good this Bears defense has been playing. Arizona still are a dominant team, meaning they also have a just as good defense, if not better than Chicago's. But either way, let's see what African can do here. And it's going to be a catch by Bubba. And there it is, the hat trick made by Bubba. And just like that, Chicago can easily tie this game. And so far, things have been looking very bright for Chicago so far. African with a chance to tie this game up. Unfortunately, they do not, but they do have an opportunity to go for an onside kick to potentially reclaim their lead that they once had. And they thankfully do, thanks to Aura Lucas. Somehow, some way, Chicago may actually win this game if they can score here. It'll be a small step, though, but it is more than doable. But they are going to need a lot of things to go their way. But Real Purple Fly is going to be a step in the right direction. Going to make it a second and 1 now, thanks to that walk. And R.L. Lucas going to get a first down. Going to spin move to prevent a fumble, which is very smart on their end. They definitely do not want to take any unnecessary risks. But African going to be looking around, trying to find the streak. Unfortunately, couldn't find anything there. It was just way overthrown. But African going to be looking around, seeing what he can find. He's going to try to find Bubba on the 2-on-1. Unfortunately, that was overthrown as well. I mean, I think Chicago is being just a little bit impatient here. I mean, they really don't need a touchdown immediately here. They can just get a first down and be just fine. And Sub Trelly is going to make this a 4th and manageable, a 4th and 4. So again, this is more than doable for Chicago to get a first here. Now keep in mind, they don't need a touchdown, they just need a first. But they will get a touchdown anyway, thanks to Grant Griffin. And just like that, Chicago has now taken the lead. And just like that, that is a huge play made for Chicago. And just like that, they could win this game here if they are able to show up defensively. But here we go, African going for 2, and it's going to be caught by Grant Griffin, giving them a 6-point lead, meaning Arizona will have to get a 2-point conversion or an extra point to take the lead right back. Otherwise, it will be a tie. So again, all the pressure is on Arizona. I mean, so far, Chicago's defense has been formidable, so they can't underestimate them for even a second. But either way, Dr. D5 gonna get the split, but fumbles. But thankfully, V2 Hazard is able to recover it, but I don't know how far he'll get, considering they're all coming after him. But thankfully, it will be a 0-point game. That could have been very bad for Arizona. That could have potentially lost them the game. But thankfully, V2 Hazard is able to bail Arizona out. But it looks like it's going to be a check down to Roy, and he's got a first down and more. Just completely missing, making 3 defenders miss before finally someone getting to him. But either way, Dr. D5 was going to try to give it to Roy once more on the out route, or on the hitch, but just couldn't find anything there. And now Dr. D5 going to try and take it a run himself. Not going to get super far though, but will be good enough for a 3rd and 10. But this could be very bad. If Dr. D5 finds a lane here, will he take it? No, he will not. He's going to try to find the fold, but unfortunately, that will not do it either. And now it's a 4th and 10, a very crucial one. If Chicago can stop them for one more down, they could potentially win this game. But again, it is a very tall order because it is still Arizona, and it looks like they will convert the first down. And Hall of Fame Void just going to dodge a bunch of defenders, thanks to the help of some blocks, and they will get a touchdown. But again, that's not the main issue, though. They are going to have to get the extra point or the 2-point conversion in order to take the lead again, which will then give pressure to Chicago to try and answer right back. And it looks like they will choose to go for 2. And now let's see what Dr. D5 is cooking. Unfortunately, they couldn't. And just like that, Chicago has an ample opportunity to tie this game. Well, how does this stream only have 2 viewers? Oh, it's a fumble, but thankfully Chicago is able to recover it right back. Hold on, I gotta update this. And now African with an opportunity to take this lead and win the game and pull a potential upset. But let's see if they can do it. But oh no, Hall of Fame void. Nobody's there but him. I have no idea where African was throwing it to. I mean, I don't know where African was trying to throw that to. I mean, he threw it to the defense apparently, but that does mean that Chicago is going to have to try to make a stop here. I mean, that's just a very bad situation for Chicago. And just like that, TGNM going to make it 10 times worse with that streak being wide open. And V2 Hazard going to try to get a handoff in. Doesn't get too much out of it, but will get about 6 yards. I mean, thankfully, this has been a very solid game for both teams, all things considered. But San 13 gonna get the sack there. And that's a huge sack there because now it makes it a 3rd and 25, meaning this could be a potential toss-up for Dr. D5. And San 13 on his tail. And now Locke going to give it about a 12-yard gain, and it looks like they will kick a field goal to hopefully take this lead. This is a very crucial field goal for Arizona if they can get it. And the kick is good. So now Arizona has the lead. Now all they have to do is stop Chicago with 1 drive left. That is all they need to do. All right, but it looks like it will be to R.L. Lucas. And it will be good for 14 yards, but so far, African trying to look around here. He's backed up. Unfortunately, going to get sacked immediately after. And now it's a 3rd and 17. That is not what you want if you're Chicago. That is arguably the worst case scenario. And now, African on a 3rd and 17 here. And it's going to give it to Grant Griffin on the fold. Nearly intercepted there by Arizona, but thankfully it was not. And now African, I mean, they need to rush here. I mean, again, 40 seconds isn't exactly a lot of time when you need to score. And African is going to just run it and dive out of bounds. And that will stop the clock. But either way, I mean, again, either way, Chicago is going to have to make a play here. And it looks like he's going to try to take a shot down the field, but no, that wastes precious time on the clock. But African going to have to try to find something here. And is going to find R.L. Lucas. He does make a man miss, makes 2 miss before going down. Will Chicago use a timeout here? Okay, well, there will be a timeout called by African. I mean, again, that was 4 seconds wasted trying to call that timeout. I mean, again, this is very close, though. Again, you might have room for 3 plays. You might have room for 2 plays. 3 if you're lucky. And R.L. Lucas is going to get it there. And here we go, African. And this will be the final play of the game. Wait, no, it is not. There is one more play with 1 second left. 1 second left. And this is a game winner for Chicago. If they make this touchdown, they win. But if they fail, Arizona will end up winning it. And now African in a bad situation. He is backed up quite a bit. The defensive end not able to get to him. And it looks like it will be a toss-up somewhere. And will they get it? No, they will not. And KJ Trim going to get the interception. And this could potentially be a pick six. If they so wish to. I mean, it really doesn't matter if they do it. And just like that, Arizona going to walk away with it and completely eliminate Chicago from playoffs. And just like that, Arizona has completely robbed Chicago of any playoff hopes at the moment. And there we go. I mean, that is why Arizona is one of the teams to beat along with New England. I mean, this really doesn't matter. I mean, this really doesn't matter. Yeah, just throw it out. And just like that, that was a very incredible game, though, by both teams, though. I will give credit where it's due. Chicago did put up a heck of a fight. But unfortunately, it is not enough to stop Arizona. But man, what a game. Yeah, that... I will admit that game went down to the very end. I will agree with that. And unfortunately, that will likely mean Chicago is out of the playoffs. Provided, I mean, it depends on how many are in playoffs, but if there's like 5 or 6 teams in playoffs, that does mean they're likely eliminated. But either way, though, that was a very fun game. I cannot even lie for even a second. That was fun. But either way, though, that will be the end of it, though. And I can't really say much about it. It was just a very enjoyable game. Actually, hold on. Is anyone streaming the 10 o'clock one? Because I think there's one at 10. Yeah, it's going to be Miami and Baltimore. I could stream that one if y'all wanted. I could potentially do it. And honestly, I would not have a problem with that. But either way, for now, I'll decide on it later on. So, unless anyone else is doing it, I can do it. But either way, until then, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Or later, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, see ya.